Hello and welcome to this edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm Adrian Atkinson and we have an informative show packaged just for you. Don't go anywhere. More after this message. Technology is now part of everyday life, shaping how we learn, work, and connect with each other. But for our children, the digital world can be both a tool for growth and a space of great risk. Factors such as online predators, cyberbullying, exposure to harmful content, and even the overuse of screens pose a real and growing threat. But the use of technology is not all bad, and thus we need to create a balance. Let's join the conversation and get the facts next.
Welcome to Get the Facts, the program that provides you with information on government's policies and initiatives. I'm your host, Theodore Henry. On today's program, we're examining the roles and the functions of the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, CPFSA, and the impact of technology on child care and protection. And we have with us Dr. Warren Thompson, Director of Intake, Investigations and Court Services at the CPFSA, who will be providing us with all the facts. Dr. Thompson, welcome to Get the Facts.
Thank you for having me.
All right, let's jump right into it. Now, the CPFSA is the rebranded CDA.
Right.
I have that
right.
Good. So you can help us right here at the beginning by telling us what is the mission of the CPFSA?
Okay, so the Child Care and Protection Act refers to the agency with responsibility for children.
Right.
So the CPFSA is that agency. It has a mandate to respond when a child is deemed to be in need of care and protection, to ensure that that child is safeguarded and that the child receives all the services that he or she requires. Of course, we want to become the leader in child protection in the Caribbean.
Right.
And we want to see all Jamaica's children achieve their full potential. And we think we can support this by supporting families, empowering families, by regulating alternative care, particularly residential child care facilities, foster care arrangements, and so on. And of course, ensuring that children receive the intervention services that they need.
Right. So you mentioned two things which I find very interesting: support and the services. Well, let's start with the services. Or some of the specific services CPFSA provides.
All right. So the CPFSA, as I said, we have to respond. So we receive reports of children who people believe were or are being abused, or even if they suspect that the child is likely to be abused or neglected. We appreciate those reports and we investigate.
Right.
We believe that the child is in need of care and protection and needs to be removed from the home. We make the relevant court applications. So those are some of the basic services. Where a child comes into our care, now we have some specific programs. So we have our residential care placements. The child comes in, receives case management, receives therapeutic intervention where that is needed. We also have what we call life placements. So that's children living in family environments. So that's our foster care program. Children who may remain at home but under our supervision. That's one other program. Then there are children who are deemed, as viable adoption candidates, put it that way. Right? So in those instances, we process those cases as adoption. And we at the CPFSA house an adoption unit that supports the adoption board.
Right. So the second part was, so you mentioned services, you also mentioned support. Right. And support seems a lot more proactive than just, we've gotten a report and we have to do something. Right. Because if I can just add some context here, maybe people might have this thing in the back of their heads, CPFSA go and take my child, as a verse to help us.
Yes.
So talk to us about the support part.
So it is a misconception.
Yeah.
The last thing that we want to do, the last thing is to remove a child from the family environment. In fact, both the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, the Child Care and Protection Act stated that the family is the preferred environment for children. So we do a number of things to support children in families first. When we initiate an investigation, we try to see, can we support the child to remain at home? It could be through counseling, and we have a whole unit set up for that. Our Child and Family Support Unit is aimed at supporting families, supporting parents, supporting children to prevent or to reduce the likelihood of a need to take the matter before the court for a removal of that child.
Got it.
So we have a whole unit for that. And, you know, and the majority of cases actually go to that unit.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what we do. And then when a child has been removed, we create a care plan, and the first thing that we want to do is to pursue reintegration with the family.
Yeah.
So when we talk about the life placements, family reintegration is one other program that we have.
We're getting the facts. You've mentioned the Child Care Act.
Right.
So the CPFSA is not just oversight. You're acting with the ambit of the law on your hand. Could you give us some more details about the laws that make your work possible?
So for example, in the Child Care Protection Act, so that is our Bible, Section 8 of the Act describes the circumstances under which a child can be deemed to be in need of care and protection. So it's, you know, a child wandering the street, a child who has been physically, emotionally, or sexually abused, those kinds of things. So we operate based on those kinds of provisions. Of course, Jamaica has a mandatory reporting framework, and that is set out in the Child Care and Protection Act. In our assessment of what kinds of cases require interventions, we rely heavily on that act as well as other pieces of legislation. So, for example, the Sexual Offences Act, you know, that will tell us, you know, is this a child against whom a sexual offence would have been committed? Right? We also rely on things like the Trafficking in Persons Act, the Child Pornography Act, the Adoptions Act, of course, and based on the work that we do regarding child abductions and so on, the Children Guardianship and Custody Act. So we rely on a number of pieces of legislation to define the parameters in which we work.
You spoke of one unit, the Child and Family Support Unit.
Yes.
But based on what you just pointed out and underlined from the Act, your responsibilities are broad. And the scenarios in which the CPFSA has to act are broad.
Yes.
How you go about delivering these services? What other units do you have down there?
All right. So the Child and Family Support Unit is a unit, but for the other programs, we refer to them as desks. So, you know, we have a desk for foster care, desk for supervision, desk for family reintegration. We have transitional living services. So that's children who would have been in care and who are transitioning out of care, you know, progressing to a university, college, and so on. So we support them so that they can successfully transition to independent living. We are currently also rolling out another type of aftercare service for the children who may not matriculate to university or college, but we are supporting them to transition to independent living, notwithstanding them not achieving certain things educationally. So we, of course, I told you about adoptions. We have the Central Authority for International Child Abductions. We have an overseas investigations desk.
It's a broad.
Yes,
it's a broad.
We do quite a number of things.
Okay.
And of course, we also house the National Children's Registry and the Ananda Alert Unit.
And there have been some changes to Ananda recently, haven't there?
Well, you've seen some billboards out.
Yes.
Right, we are expanding our broadcast network. So we're using digital billboards, the indoor screens in the tax offices and so on, to dispatch the Ananda Alert posters so that the public can become more aware when a child is missing and respond if they have any information at all. Just yesterday, our team was out with the police, you know, doing a search for the 12-year-old boy in Manchester who has been missing since last Friday.
Right. So that the public can be aware and help. We're going to talk a bit more about that in our second segment. We've gotten an overview of the existing programs and the services at the CPFSA to ensure the safety, the care, and the well-being of at-risk children. We must take a quick break right here. This is Get the Facts, and when we return, we look deeper into why the agency's work is so important, how families and the public can and should help, and how safe use of social media can protect children's rights. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Get the Facts. We're discussing childcare and protection with the CPFSA. Still with us for the conversation is Dr. Warren Thompson, Director of Intake, Investigations and Court Services at the agency. Now, at our break, we touched on the procedure when or what the CPFSA is doing, its mandate, and now we'd like to talk a little bit about risk factors and what to do when a child is identified as being at risk. So, Dr. Thompson, let's start with risk factors. When we've said child at risk a few times,
right.
What does that mean? What does that look like?
So, the Child Care and Protection Act speaks specifically to children in need of care and protection.
Care and protection. Okay.
But we use the language of children at risk to broaden the scope a little bit. So it could be a child that is going through a particular experience, but is not yet in need of care and protection. So what are some of the things that we look for?
Yes.
Of course, children who are being physically, emotionally, or sexually ill-treated. You're talking about those who are being beaten, those who are being sexually abused, as I mentioned, and even those who are hearing constant harsh words spoken to them. I've seen cases with children who have had, basically physical manifestations of what they're experiencing emotionally. Right. People are telling them something. They're going to kill them, they're going to hurt them, they're going to do whatever it is. And those children actually develop physical symptoms of that. So that's possible. But look for children who are not being supervised, children who are often, on the streets, children who are what the law refers to as being in moral danger. So you're talking about children who, as I said, are on the streets, who are frequenting massage parlors, bars, shops, buying cigarettes, all those kinds of things that suggest that there's an adult who is not taking care of the child. Those are risk factors that people should look for, and reach out to us once they have a child protection concern. Right,
reach out to us. You're segueing into the next one. What do I do? How?
So reaching out is easy. You can call us 211. It is a 3-digit number that's easy to remember. 211. It is toll free, and it is operated on a 24-hour basis, 7 days a week.
Okay.
You can also walk into any CPFSA office. There's an office in every parish, and right now we're going through, working through identifying some locations that we can use as outposts or substations, as it were. So that the people, for example, in the hills of Trelawney don't have to go all the way down to Falmouth to speak to a child protection officer, a children's officer. You can reach out to us on social media at CPFSA JM. You can reach out to us via WhatsApp, 878-2882. Or you can even send us a letter, right? Or you can email us at report.
Many different.
Yes, a report at childprotection.gov.jm.
Are you able to do any of these reports anonymously?
Yes, you can. So
is that what CPFSA wants also?
No. Right. So the reporter is free to choose whether they want to report anonymously or if they want to give us their information. Now, if they choose to report anonymously, we don't take any information from them at all regarding their identity. But it doesn't always work out in the child's best interest, because if we have your information and our investigators are unable to locate a child, we might be able to call you back to say, we weren't able to find the child. Can you give us any additional information? Can you give us some further directions or something like that?
Yes.
But where you are an anonymous reporter and we need more information, we can't get it from you, and we just have to close that case.
Right. So the concern that you felt needed to be brought to CPFSA comes to a halt.
Yes.
Because the information.
Right. Because we can't get through to you.
Right. Now you started touching on what the CPFSA does. So I've done what I should do. I've identified a child in risk. I have reached out by any of the myriad of areas you mentioned. What then happens at CPFSA?
So every report that comes to us is treated as an allegation until the investigations prove otherwise. So the first thing to do is to investigate.
Right.
And where we verify that the allegations are true, we take some actions. It could be to refer the child or the family to other services, victim services, perhaps it's a resource issue, the PATH program. We make various kinds of referrals. If the child is believed to be in real need of care and protection, then we're going to safeguard that child by removing the child from the home environment and laying that matter before the court.
Right.
In some instances, we won't necessarily remove the child, but we may still lay the matter before the court to say that this child may need to be supervised by the state through the CPFSA.
Right.
When we remove children, we don't always go first for a child care facility. If there's a family member who is able to care for that child.
I'm familiar.
Right, right. Yeah. So if we're able to maintain the child in a family setting, we will do so. So let's say the child is with the mother or father, we do a removal. If there's a grandmother who lives elsewhere who is willing and able to provide care for that child while the court proceedings are going on, then we explore those options as well.
Got it. So a few of the examples that we've been using so far are offline.
Right.
But online, it's now a massive thing. It's everywhere.
Different ball game.
More and more children have connected devices.
Yes.
As they can be at risk online too, can't they?
Yes, because online they can experience cyberbullying, and so on. And we have seen cases of children who have been bullied online, some who have ended up taking their own lives because they couldn't handle what they were going through online. And then, of course, sexual grooming is another thing that can happen online. And, children are on the devices, they're engaging with people that they know and people that they don't know. On the gaming platforms where they have the multiplayer games,
right.
They're talking to people in places that they don't know,
Yeah.
And that exposes a child to a different kind of risk.
But, Doc, you just mentioned people you don't know. That's also people who are not necessarily even in Jamaica.
Right.
How can CPFSA treat with that?
I don't know if there's a way that we can. It is the way of the world right now. I think parents have to just be vigilant in monitoring what their children are doing and in encouraging their children to engage in safe online practices. You can talk to somebody somewhere else in the world. I think where the danger comes is if there's somebody who may encourage a child to meet up with them somewhere, right? Or someone who is abusing the child online, saying hurtful things. And while we do have a Cybercrimes Act in Jamaica that speaks to malicious communication, where the offender is in another jurisdiction, it is not so easy for that kind of crime to be investigated and prosecuted.
Right. So it then comes down to those who are around the child, those who have empowered the child, giving them this device to take certain steps.
Yes.
Right. So parents and families supporting the CPFSA online.
Right.
Give us maybe 2 or 3 things they can do.
And I think I shared this with you some time ago, right? Parents can enter into contracts with their children. I think Safe Kids Online has some model contracts that parents can use. Teach children how to, what is acceptable, what is appropriate online and what is not. And also monitor the devices, and there are apps to do so. So there's the Google Family Link. You can set screen time for the children. The device can shut off at a particular time based on how you set it. You can look at the apps that the child is using. And with that kind of information, you can engage with the child in conversation. Okay, so I see that you're using this app. What are you doing? What's happening there? You can also, you decide what the child is able to do on the device. So you decide if the child can download a game or, a gaming platform. You decide what the child downloads on that device.
And you should be able to blacklist content as
well. Right, yes.
Yes. I believe.
Yes.
Right. Okay, so, and Doc, I think we should underline this. There is a part of the Child Care Protection Act that speaks to negligence, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
But negligence, when we talk about neglect, we look at a number of things. So supervision is one, if a child is not being supervised. We look at if the child's physical needs are being neglected, the child's healthcare needs are being neglected, and the child's educational needs. So those are the main things that we look for when we think about neglect.
Okay. But, and I suppose why I brought it up is that it's important for caregivers, parents, family members to understand that the government cares how children are taken care of.
Well, certainly.
It factors into the CPFSA's assessment of a scenario.
Right.
Am I right there?
Yes, you're right. But, because you've mentioned the online thing, I think I want to mention just what happens on social media. Yeah. We've been seeing things in the news recently.
Wow.
So we are also monitoring social media spaces because we would have seen where people are engaging in behaviors that suggest that they are not acting in the children's best interest, the children that are around them or the children. So we monitor social media, but of course we rely on the public. Those people who are watching the TikTok live videos, those who are watching the Instagram, to reach out to us when you see content that you believe is not in a child's best interest, or one that raises a red flag for you, that maybe this family or this person or this child needs some kind of intervention.
Got it. We're here at the very end of our interview.
Okay.
I don't know, Doc. Why does all this matter? Taking care of our children.
It matters. Mahatma Gandhi, I believe, said that the true measure of a society is the way in which they protect the vulnerable.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And children are vulnerable, can't help themselves for the most part. We have a responsibility, if we have an interest in the next generation, we have a responsibility to take care of the children. We have to ensure that we don't engage in harmful practices that would render our society negatively impacted, as it were. And I know we're wrapping up, but I hear Jamaicans say all the time, "Oh, I used to be beaten, and I used to get be beaten with fan belt and broomstick and all these things when I was growing up."
Yeah.
And I turned out quite normal. But I always point out this thing that the psychiatrists are saying that maybe about 40% or more of Jamaica's population are suffering from some kind of mental health issue, whether it's stress-related, trauma-related, mood-related. We're not all as normal as we would like to think we are.
Not because we're in war, but because of...
our exposure to childhood violence. That's my belief.
Yeah. This has been another truly insightful discussion centered on getting you all the facts about the CPFSA and its work to ensure the safety and the care of children at risk. We all have a part to play. Together, let's protect the future, our children. This has been Get the Facts. Until next time, I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching, and do take care.
Think positively. Focus on the power of optimism and hope. The thoughts we nurture shape our attitudes, actions, and ultimately our lives. So, reflect on the good in your life.
As parents and guardians, we want to start off our children on the right track. But that doesn't always go the way we would hope. And a specific area where this tends to happen is with their nutrition. But according to one nutritionist, this doesn't have to be the case. Watch now to learn more.
A lot of times when we're feeding our children, we associate them with snacks and juices. But we have to remember that they're human beings, they're growing, and they need wholesome foods. So whatever it is that you put in, that is what you will get out. Food is fuel for the body and the mind. So if you're putting in garbage, garbage is going to come out.
Good nutrition is the foundation for healthy growing children. The foods our children eat provide energy for learning, play, and strong development of their bodies and minds. And these need to come from all the food groups.
We have 6 different food groups in Jamaica, so we want to ensure that they're eating a little bit from each different food group. Keep in mind that children might not want to eat all of the same things all the time, but we want to ensure that they're just getting a little bit from each day. Toddlers will require more fats and carbohydrates because they're moving up a little bit more, they're more energetic. But when you become a teenager now, you're now working on different aspects of the body. So muscle building and growth, also hormones come into play. So we want to focus more on protein at that stage of life.
And these will look different for children at unique stages of life.
Usually for children, I know we would say that they would take fats and oils and sweets sparingly, but you want to ensure that their foods are protein rich with fat. So for example, you're going to be having your nuts, your peanuts, your avocados. When you're talking about energy, you want to be looking at a lot of carbs. So yes, we want them to have their grains, so their rice and their breads and their cereals, as well as the ground provisions. And then when you get to the teenage stage, you want to make sure that they're having more meats. If they're vegetarian, more peas and beans.
But too often, parents will instead opt for the quick snacks and sweet juices right off the shelves, not realizing that these aren't giving children the best start, but causing malnutrition in them.
Malnutrition as a whole can be overnutrition or undernutrition. So back in the day, we were focused on undernutrition, so we had to be supplementing the children, making sure that they have more. These days, we recognize that children are having more overnutrition, so a lot of refined carbs and too much sugar. So we realize that they're not having enough of their proteins and the unrefined carbohydrates as they should. So we realize that they're not focusing as well. They're having a little bit of lower attention spans. They're not learning as well. It comes from the environment, but the food has a lot to do with it.
Snacks like chips, cookies, and sugary drinks may taste good, but they are often loaded with salt and sugar, offering very little of the vitamins and minerals children need. Juices, even the ones that look healthy, don't have the fiber of whole fruits, and the sugar rush leaves children feeling tired soon after.
Children shouldn't be having more than 6 teaspoons of sugar per day. So 6 4 is 24, that's about 24 grams of sugar. So if you look at the nutrition facts label, you'll realize that most of these boxed juices that we're giving the children are excessive in terms of the sugar that they're consuming. And then we wonder why the children won't sit and stay still. And I mean, even with the snacks that we're giving them, a lot of them are empty calories. So it has a lot of salt and fats and coloring, and there are issues with the coloring as well. We want to ensure that we take away a lot of those excess juices. I feel that we think children have to have juice, and that's a big misnomer. They really don't need juice. Water is just fine.
So, what parents and guardians should be focused on is giving children more wholesome foods, even if they are picky eaters.
Have them try a variety of things from day one. And just like walking, you have to fall down a couple times before you can actually do it. So just because they refuse it once, don't believe that they will always not want it. So try multiple times, try different ways to help them to taste it. Help them to have control, because what happens sometimes when we force it on them, they have a negative connection to the food itself, and maybe it's not the food. Sometimes it can be textures, sometimes it can be the smell, sometimes it can be the colors. So that's why processed food, they are more able to accept it because it's the same thing all the time. But watermelon might be sweeter or fresh on a different day. Other fruits have different flavors, so they don't necessarily trust it. I know it's frustrating as parents because we just want the children to eat, but sometimes we need to dig a little bit deeper. So just think about how you feel as an adult when you don't eat breakfast. You feel cranky, right? So just imagine the children. They are unfocused, they're going to school, they're unsettled. Breakfast is very important. It doesn't necessarily have to be something heavy either. I mean, a sandwich is fine. We want to use the multi-mix principle where you're getting something from at least 3 food groups at any given time. So bread is already carbohydrates, probably some egg, that's your protein, and then you probably want to give our fruit, whether an orange, an apple, mango, whatever it is that we have in season. We're very fruitful. A lot of times we think that let children be children, let them eat whatever they want because it won't affect them. No, but studies are showing that the earlier they're eating the unhealthy foods, they're more likely to have overweight and obesity, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol going up into older life. As a matter of fact, most recently I spoke with a pediatrician. She's saying that when she studied, she didn't know that she'll be seeing fatty liver and type 2 diabetes in her office, because when she was studying, that was adult illnesses. So what we're feeding our children is affecting them much sooner and more gravely than we expected. So as parents, as the adults that have the handle, let us do as best as we can to encourage a healthy lifestyle in the children.
We've come to the end of today's show. I do hope that you enjoyed this package. To catch a repeat of this or any other, feel free to log on to our website at jis.gov.jm. Until next time, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.